So we'll do a little Q&A session. So if you have any, we have some questions written down. Till what time do we have the Q&A session? 20 minutes less. I'm not sure if I can go through all these questions, but hopefully if you read this will diminish, This question, are we fully ruled by karma or fate, or is there free will? I've answered this question many, many times before. If you've heard my discourse on YouTube, you will find the answer. Briefly, I'll tell you, the truth is in between. Not everything is ruled by karma, and not everything is free will. It's not that everything to happen in the future is written in some book that will always come to pass. Some things are, some things are not. And there is always this verse I quote from Bhagavad Gita. Panchatani mahabaho karanani nibodhme sankhe kritante proktani siddhaye sarvakarmanam. There are 5 elements in play that make anything happen in your life, Khandai. Adhishthanam tatha karta karanam cha prithak vidham vivdhash pridhik cheshta devam javatra panchamam. Adhishthan, your approach. Karta, you yourself, your mindset. Karanam, your resources. Cheshta, your efforts. And 5th is destiny, fate, karma, bhagya, prarabdha. That's 5th, 20%. Rest is in your hands. Can I come and join as your disciple in your ashram? I'm very much interested. Well, please drop me an email later. Just so you know, I'm very, 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 very picky about taking on disciples. For the simple reason, it's a divine bond, a beautiful bond, and I really want to preserve the sanctity of this bond. A lot of people, I've written this on my blog as well, under FAQs, frequently asked questions, get sentimental, they take me as their guru, but then they say, oh, this Swami is too modern for us, kind of that. You know what I mean? So then they would have their own notions and frameworks where they'll try to chisel in and fit me in, but I won't fit anywhere. So because I won't fit, it will hurt you, and I don't want to do that. Secondly, please know that ashrams are not the places to do sadhana or to live. Ashrams are very difficult places. We do have water, electricity, and all that. By difficulty, I'm not saying austerity. By difficulty, I'm saying very strong-headed people live in ashrams. They went against the convention. Everything worldly. How strong-headed these people must be, just think about it. Nobody could convince them to get married. Nobody could convince them to lead a normal life. Nobody could convince them that, okay, have a house and you can eat idli, dosa, sambar every day and all that. Nobody could convince them to do these things. Anybody who tried, failed. So if you are thinking, I will go to an ashram and I'll live in absolute peace and bliss with all the other people who live there, think again, It's the truth. What's the hardest thing for you to drop when you renounced material life? How can you manage to stay detached even when indulging in senses, material comforts? What was the hardest thing for me to drop when I renounced material life? I really can't think of anything. There was, of course, a sense of guilt I had because I let my mother down, my sister down, all the other people who were always looking up to me. I just walked away one day. That was not easy to let go. But other than that, nothing was hard. In fact, I say it all the time, when I came back from the Himalayas, I missed the Himalayas. But when I was in the Himalayas, I never missed my material life. And how can you say stay detached? I don't know if it's generic or personally at me. Nachama tani karmani nibadhananti dhananjaya. Udasino dasino saktam teshu karmasu. Karmas or actions don't tie me down, Khandai, because I do them with complete detachment. I'm mostly at ease with most things in life, including bad food. When you think, okay, there's only so much I control, when you get onto that frame, that nice, this rumbling sound is the sound of Mooladhara chakra. So when you are at ease that not every day of my life is going to be the same, then you are detached automatically. Even Sadhviji, she's here, she edits all my books, every single one of my book. I never approached a publisher to get published, and there are authors who wait years and years before they are published. So I told her in the beginning of the first book itself, I said, I've written this is how it is, and I'm just going to publish it myself, even if I don't get published. So there was effort, but I was completely detached. I was perfectly okay if a publisher came, picked it up, or didn't pick it up. So that detachment makes you very calm. Maybe I was this calm because I'd meditated for so many hours, but that's how I'd always mostly dealt with things in life. I have started from 8th standard, but still very difficult to reach main area. Please give suggestion. Well, please read this book. Here I've talked about certain yogic practices you can undertake to progress on the path, and also how to measure your progress. Can you please explain the difference between indifference and detachment? Indifference is when you don't care. When you don't care about the actual action either. Detachment is when you care very little about the actual outcome. What a patient has with himself or herself is attachment. What they have with the doctor is detachment. They want a doctor, but fine, if not this one, some other will look after me. What the doctor has with the patient is non-attachment. And that's the difference between the three. Indifference is when you just don't care. When you are totally unaffected, whether you do something or not do something. And detachment is much better than indifference. Indifference is lack of emotion. Detachment is compassion, but not really tied to the outcome. How to be happy when due to recent developments, your spouse does not love you anymore. Let me tell you, there is nobody on the planet whose spouse loves him or her forever. Really, it's an illusion even greater than Maya. There is this thing I once told you in one of the retreats. I said, a wife, this is in Hindi, so I hope all of you know Hindi. A wife said to her husband, she said, जब हमारी शादी हुई थी तब आप मुझे इतने सुंदर सुंदर नामों से बुलाते थे. कभी बोलते थे मेरी रबड़ी, मेरा रसगुल्ला, मेरी रसमलाई, मेरी गुलाब जामुन. अब ऐसे नाम कभी नहीं देते. अब तो कभी इतने सुंदर सुंदर प्यारे नामों से नहीं बुलाते, ऐसा क्यों? तो हस्बैंड ने बोला, अरे पगली, दूध की मिठाई कितने दिन फ्रेश रहेगी ना. Man can never love a woman the same way a woman loves a man. It's impossible. A man would always love a woman differently. If you, as a woman, care about flowers or a bouquet on your birthday or anniversary, a man might be thinking a lot more practical. Could I give her an electric blanket, maybe, that she can use? Or maybe I could give her a toaster, That's how it works. A man's love is in his care. A woman's care is in her love. And that's the primary difference between the two. Can we meditate with bija mantras given in Kundalini Book on our own? Yes, of course you can. What should I concentrate during meditation? Concentrate on the sound. If you are meditating on sound, there are 4 ways to meditate: on breath, on sound, on form, or on the formless. So I've covered all 4 in the book. I'm finding extremely difficult to get rid of lustful and egoistic thoughts. You're not alone. I think these impressions are very deep rooted in my psyche. I want to get rid of these from its roots. What to do? Please help me. There are only two kinds of people: those who admit that they have lustful thoughts and are innocent and pure and genuine enough to say, look, I have these thoughts, what do I do? And those who don't. There's nobody who's above these thoughts. Natadasti pritibhyam vadivi deveshu vapuna. Sattvam prakriti rajair muktam yadevi syat prabirguna. There is nobody on the planet who's beyond the modes of material nature: sattva, rajas, and tamas, goodness, passion, and ignorance. What you can do, it is possible to, if you want to get away from these thoughts, if they are interfering with your work or with your consciousness, then simply learn to shift your attention. But you can't do it for the rest of your life, by the way. But you can practice it. Learn to shift your attention. If you learn to shift your attention, what you would realize is that any thought is simply a thought. Whether that's a negative thought, that's a thought of ego, or that's a thought of lust, it's simply a thought. If I can shift my attention and be calm about it for a little while, that thought will go away. If there is God, how would we rate humanity? I don't understand this question. If there is God, how would he rate humanity? I think, if you go by some of the scriptures, they say God created earth in 6 days, and he hasn't come back since, and is still on leave. So nobody knows. He rested on the 7th day on a Sunday. Nobody knows what he did on the following Monday. Nobody has any clue. So this was, how when you were playing cricket as kids, and you go in a new colony, new kind of mohalla, new setting to play, and you have no intention, but you accidentally break somebody's window pane, you break the glass. What would you do? You would run the hell out of there, because you just, broke somebody's window. That's what God did. Humanity is an experiment that's gone bad. And God said, look, I've created this now. What do I do with this? So, all the scriptures and other things came forward. But there's a story, Akbar was very proud of his grandson. And he said, my grandson is the most beautiful grandson in the world. And Birbal said, I beg to differ. So Birbal said, I beg to differ because I can find you someone even more beautiful. If we did a contest, I can find you the most beautiful child in your kingdom. Akbar said, look, I'd like to see that child. And he said, I have to take you out for a stroll. So they went for a walk. On the way, there was this child, all soiled, muddy, dusty, and smeared in dust and dirt, playing around with barely any clothes on his body, tattered clothes. And Birbal said, this, my lord, is the most beautiful child in your kingdom. Akbar said, Birbal, is this some kind of joke? You think you are kidding me right now? Birbal said, no. I can produce a witness who would agree with me instantly. Akbar said, I bet you can't. Birbal said, if you allow me. So just at a distance, a lady was washing clothes. Birbal called her. Is this your son? He said. She said, yes, he's my son playing, I'm working. Well, he said, we are from the royal court and we are looking for the most beautiful child in his kingdom because we're going to give an award to that child. She said, well, your search has ended. My child is the most beautiful child. And that's what a mother truly feels. Always. To her, her child is the most beautiful child. Her child can evoke emotions in a mother's heart like no other child. Doesn't matter how inadequate that child may be, or how much he or she might be getting on her nerves all the time. Similarly, if God were to rate humanity, he would say, this is the most beautiful creation I ever created. So I hope you got your answer. Does a guru has to be a sannyasi or monk? Even married person can be a guru? Yes, every married person has a guru in his home. And that guru is also married. It's often your partner. What purpose is there for this universe? There is no purpose. Purpose is what you assign to your own life. The universe has a dharma. There is a law of nature, but no purpose. Purpose is something that humans worry about. And the law of nature is to continue to evolve. That's why it's eternally moving. I have a lot of fears. Please guide me how to overcome my fears. I've written a great deal about it on my blog. You can just search for the keyword fear, or I think in this book as well I've covered. Everybody has fears. I wrote this little story, if you will, on my blog once. There was a man, he was always very positive. And positive people can really get on the nerves of those who are not positive. And those who are very negative and anxious and paranoid, they can't stand positive people. And they think this guy is not thinking through, how come he or she be so positive? So this guy was always positive, always happy, and doesn't matter what would happen in his life, he would always say, don't worry about it. It could have been much worse. And one day his friend said, we have to tell him something, to make him, at least for once, let him say, my God, that's terrible. But this guy won't say that. So his friend went to him. He said, listen, last night I had a terrible nightmare. He said, oh, really? What did you see? He said, well, I saw that I died in a car accident, and the messengers of death came and dragged me all the way to hell. And not only that, there they flayed me and then fried me in a big vessel as if I was some vada. And that's how it was going on. And this positive man said, don't worry about it. It could have been much worse. I said, what do you mean? How could it possibly be any worse? I died, I was skinned, I was flayed, I was fried in boiling hot oil. How could it possibly be any worse? And the man said, well, it could have been true. Had it been true, it would have been a lot worse. And if you really look at your fears, then think about it. How many of your fears have actually come, true till date? Not many. So take it easy. How to handle ourselves when pain and hurt is caused to us without we doing anything wrong. Generally, you feel pain and hurt more when A, you feel you didn't do anything wrong, or B, too, when you actually didn't do anything wrong. But chances of the first one are a lot higher. Most people who feel hurt think they didn't do anything wrong, right? But that's not always the truth. If you feel hurt, remember, people will hurt you. And strangers cannot hurt you. Strangers can't cause grief to you. Only your own people can give you grief, because they are the ones you're attached to or with. So if you keep that in mind, that they are causing you grief, maybe I have some unfinished business with them, or maybe they don't mean it this way. Or what can I do to be more compassionate? Or what can I do for my own peace of mind? And as I said, learn to shift the attention of your thoughts and take it as a given that those who love you today will hurt you tomorrow, because it is going to happen without a doubt. Even Bhagavan Ram, think about this, Maryada Purushottam. the one who never did anything outside dharma. Even he hurt Sita by abandoning her. Even God. Think about this. So people maybe don't mean to hurt you. The thing is, we judge ourselves always by our intention. If you say something to somebody, you were trying to be nice, but the person felt bad, you say, oh, that was not my intention. Can this person not even understand this much? But we always judge the other person based on their action and not intention. You say, how did he do this? How dare she say that to me, or he did this to me? We rarely even take the time to say, okay, what was the intention behind it? Maybe they didn't mean to do this. And sometimes you just have to walk the path of goodness. It's not easy, but I always say, under any situation, under all circumstances, behave in a way that befits you. So you choose your behavior. How do you want to behave, regardless of how the other person is behaving? Swamiji, how do we overcome the barrier from just learning to actual practice of righteous path? Take baby steps and keep going. So it's 7:15. Should I finish this, or what are we doing? Okay. Can I have a photo with you? Well, I'm not averse to the idea, but it all depends on time that we have. Otherwise, you can take a picture of mine and plonk yours next to it, and that would also get the job done. I don't mind, but I hope not everybody will start doing the same thing. Then we'll be here till midnight. So convey my wishes to Sri Vidyananda Om, who is from Ramakrishna Mutt, Bangalore. Swamiji. Swamiji is sending his big white smile for you. Had you sent a cake with your regards, you would have gotten some blessing from him. Why are we all here on earth? You tell me. Why are we here? What is the purpose of being here? As I said, believe me, we can say all the fancy things we like, we can quote all the scriptures, but there is no purpose. There is just the dharma of life, as I said, and the law of nature is everything must go back to its source. Do God also age? Where do they stay? It's a secret. Bodies, anybody with a human body, anybody with any body is bound to age. Anything that has material tangibility to it is going to age. That's simple. But if you're talking about those celestial beings up there, maybe somewhere, of course they don't age. Nitya Yavana Madhshalini is a term used from the divine. Eternally youthful. Always dripping with bliss, and in a way that you would feel you are drunk on that bliss. However, I try and remind myself it is wrong. Why negative thoughts don't leave me? I get instant anger and cool down later. There was a brief spell of positive energy when I read the book, If Truth Be Told, of yours. What I should do? Reread it, please. Keep reading it. You found a very easy solution, it seems. This is life. Learn to understand yourself. Get familiar with yourself. Don't run away from yourself. Learn to face yourself. That's the only way to rise above yourself. Can we really have the mystic experience if we follow the instructions about meditation? Yes, absolutely. I promise you that much. Can we realize the divinity in us and experience the same in this very life? Why do you think I'm writing all these books? Yes, of course you can. That's the whole idea. Are rituals necessary in following the path of spirituality? What is their significance? When a child learns how to ride a bicycle, often they put the supporting wheels, whatever those calls. It turns into a cycle with 4 tires. two supporting wheels, a front wheel and another main rear wheel. And as you learn, one of the wheels is taken off. And now you're on a tricycle. As you progress a bit more, another wheel is taken off. And then you're on a bicycle. Of course, as you grow old, you get on a four-wheeler, but we're limiting ourselves to the bicycle here. Rituals and meditation. Rituals are means to an end. Some people do them to express their gratitude. The only thing I say to you is, don't do a ritual without feeling it. Feel, like have a sense of feeling when you do a ritual. That's the most important thing. Otherwise, if it's a dry ritual, it would make you very rigid. It would make you very narrow-minded. It would make you feel that this is the only way to God, and you know you're not getting anywhere by doing those rituals. So do it with a sense of feeling. There is a quote I said earlier as well, this line in Hindi. Bhavana mein bhavana to koi nahi sambhavana. If your bhav, if your sentiment does not have devotion, does not have reverence, then there is no hope. There is no possibility of anything divine happening. So you've got to have that feeling that I am not doing a ritual to please some God. I'm doing a ritual to express my gratitude. I'm just thanking God. Just like I eat, I'm offering some food to the divine energy. And of course, later, either I'll be eating myself or somebody else will be eating it. When in a situation of conflict, someone is abusing me, attacking me, or something of this kind, intellectually, as a result, of intense reading of your articles, recognize that I should not be affected. What actually happens is my body and entire being ends up being affected. What could I do to correct my intellectual knowledge to actual experience? Well, I'm very sorry to hear this, that you are being abused and attacked, and something of this kind. Nobody deserves to be attacked. There is absolutely no justification for physical abuse. None whatsoever. So and I'm surprised that you got this learning from my teachings that you should not be affected. I've never said that. I'm saying don't put up with abusive behavior. Any behavior you will accept will be encouraged. Nobody has a right to raise his hand on you. Nobody. Nobody in the three worlds is entitled to do this. And I have said this earlier, when a man raises a hand on a woman, such a man has no standing in my eyes. What kind of a weak person, what kind of a spineless person would raise hand on a woman? If you're really that gutsy, go fight with somebody of your own match. This is terrible. If you're going to be in an abusive relationship, I will tell you something deeply insightful. If you are going to be in an abusive relationship, for the rest of your life, you will be abused. The frequency, the degree of abuse may come down, the nature of abuse may change, but the actual abuse won't. So if you love yourself, never allow anybody to mistreat you. And even more importantly, when you get married, if you put up with any kind of behavior in the first couple of weeks, you will be putting up with that behavior for the rest of your marriage. If you accept any kind of misdemeanor in the first 2 or 3 weeks, that's not just a trailer of the movie. That's a piece of the pie. The whole pie is going to taste like that for the rest of your life. If you really believe there is God, if you really believe you are God's child, then why should you allow anybody to abuse you? anybody who disagrees with you can express through mouth, hopefully not using any kind of profanity, but you can use words. And for all those here or elsewhere, I just want to tell you, when you abuse somebody physically, when you attack them physically, it doesn't matter how much love you give them afterwards, it's never going to be the same again. It cannot be. How would you feel, as a child, those children who are part of families where the father or mother is constantly going on, where beating a child is an everyday affair. Just imagine as a child, if you ever experienced the amount of trauma a child goes through. And imagine when you're an adult, somebody raises their hand on you, what is left of your self-esteem then? Nothing. And then to expect that partner to cook for you or to help you out or to love you, I think it's asking for too much. And if a woman still loves you, that's why maybe a woman has been given the level of a Devi. Only a Devi, only a goddess is capable of such love and compassion. So, and that's why, when you pray to Mother Divine, she comes so quickly. Just nature has made such a remarkable thing there. My mind always thinks of negative aspects, and this is overpowering. Why is this? You are human, and you're going through humanity. I want to go in a spiritual way for self-realization, to see God. Please guide me to join the ashram. You decide, you want God or do you want the ashram? If you want the ashram, there is no God. If you want God, then you can. How to teach meditation to a hyperactive child? Let alone to a hyperactive child, you cannot teach meditation to anybody, not a child, not an adult. And children always follow what you do, not what you say. So if you want them to learn meditation, you have to do meditation and be very happy while doing it, because then they will ask you, what is the secret of your happiness? I also want to feel this happy. But if you're sitting all this uptight and you're trying to meditate and he or she comes, say, Mama or Papa, and say, what the hell are you doing here? Get away, don't you know I'm meditating? Well, then that child is not going to learn meditation, because they will say, if this is what meditation is giving you, if this is what God has given you, I don't want it. And that's why most people, most children don't follow rituals, because most people become very serious when they're in a temple, like as if they're serving a sentence or a judge is going to give a verdict right away. They're so serious in a temple, no smile, nothing. It's serious business. But life is not serious business, right? Humor, humanity, human, see the connection? So if you're happy, when you go to a party and you have fun, your kids want to join you there, because they know you're having fun there. They also want to have fun. So if they see you having fun while doing rituals or praying or meditating, they would one day most definitely come to you and say, we also want to have this fun. How do we go about it? How should we treat our life? Just don't mistreat it. It's a blessing, this life. If you don't mistreat your life, you're treating it just fine. And remember, life has a life of its own. Often we think, my life, but this is not your life. It's the same as saying like, my wife, my husband, my this, my that. How much is that person yours? So my life is a misnomer. There's nothing called my life. Your life has a life of its own. Maybe you belong to the life. Maybe life has you rather than you having life. And that's why life leaves whenever it wants to. Life just flees one day and goes. So if you are at ease, in harmony with your life, then that would truly become your life. And that's the secret. I think on that note, would close it. What are we doing now? Okay, Prasad, do you want to just... Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat.